Welcome to Fluent and Chill, NFL edition. I'm Anthony K of Sports Fluent, and I'm here as always, Jay Dub from Chilltown Hoops. Jay, how you doing, man?
Hey, Tone, we getting close, man. For 4 more weeks, we
When
getting close, man.
you don't know about this because you're down there in Florida, so I'll tell you when I know things are starting to get important in the NFL is
Mm.
when the snow starts to fall up here,
Uh-oh.
and the
Getting
snow
get,
and the snow started to fall. So I know we're getting to
uh-huh.
that end of the NFL season where games matter a little bit more.
Getting close.
So, of course, we're going to make our week 13 picks.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about a new starting quarterback, another new starting quarterback in New Orleans, in Taysom Hill, who's been getting paid like a starter for a long time.
Yep.
I'm going to ask a question. The question is this: should teams stop paying running backs big money? McCaffrey is now out, among others, big money running backs. Is it worth it? Put my thing down, flip it and reverse it, I believe is how it goes. But first, as always, we got to recap last week's games. So week 12. Oh, we're going to talk about a little bit about the playoff picture too.
Yep.
Let's recap last week's playoff games. Last week,
how did we do?
We did really good.
Not bad, huh?
We did really good. On Thursday night, we went 2-1.
All right.
So we all got we got Dallas wrong. Let's just call it. Every time we start to believe in Dallas, every time I start to believe in Dallas,
Tone, they're like that family member who they don't do everything right. They don't do everything wrong neither, but they do some bonehead things. But every once in a while, they'll do something where you're like, "It's my family. It's family. We cool.
We're gonna make some time for Dallas. We will make some time for Dallas because I'll stop when we get to that game. So let's start by recapping week 12. So as I said, we were 2-1 on the Thursday night games. We did 2 episodes. If you haven't checked them out already, go to YouTube, check out Fluent and Chill NFL edition because we did a Thanksgiving Day special just on those 3 games, and then on Friday there's the full slate of games. So that being said, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button and put your comments down there. We will get to them. And don't forget to check us out Monday. People are still messaging me. Hey, can you and OG, can you guys go do another live? I'm like, we're live every Monday at 8 p.m. You don't have to search. We're there. So don't forget to check that out. And that's on TikTok. All right. So last week, other than the Thursday games, the rest of the games, we got 2 wrong. We got 2 wrong, which is not bad because the 2 that we got wrong, listen, they were kind of pick'em games anyways. One was a divisional game. So we both were on Philadelphia. We started to drink that Jalen Hurts juice and that Kool-Aid, as they say. And then your Giants just took care of business.
And they own the Giants too, Tone. They've been dominant over the Giants over like the last 2 or 3 years. So there was no reason for me not to think that they could beat the Giants. And they should have beat them. On top of that, they had them beat.
Are there bigger problems in Philadelphia? Because now you got Devontae Smith kind of saying, hey, look, he's the number 1 receiver there. Let's be honest. They shouldn't be drawing up plays for Jalen Reagor. Smith is the guy.
Well, first of all, when I look at Jalen Reagor, number 1, you have to open your eyes to catch the football. That's why it's called hand-eye coordination. So Jalen Reagor is running up the sideline, and Jalen Hurts hits him in the helmet to catch the go-ahead touchdown. Tone, his eyes are closed. He can't see the ball. Well, if you can't see the ball, you can't catch the ball. That's the first problem.
Well, I don't know. I saw this movie Dodgeball where he puts a blindfold on and he uses his like Jedi mind tricks. Maybe that's what he was trying. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. So then we basically get him at the goal line where Jalen Hurts hits him right in the hands, and it would look like a banana where we whoop right through him. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm pretty confident that we've gone over this during the week in terms of practice. So catch the football, man. So Devontae Smith, as I've said this to you in the past, Tone, he reminds me a lot of Marvin Harrison. That's who he looks like to me. And I look at this.
That's a big comparison. That's what people don't realize how good Marvin Harrison. Like people still don't underappreciate Marvin Harrison.
That's what he looks like to me. He reminds me a lot of Marvin Harrison. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you not involving him in the offense more than you are? I can appreciate that he's a rookie. And on the surface, he really doesn't look like much. He's a really thin guy, small guy. He runs great routes, great feet. He gets open. He gets separation. And why you not running more plays for him and running the offense through him more is beyond me. And not only that, Tone, when I look at this Giants team, they're not out of the race in the NFC East.
Oh, no one ever is out of the race in the NFC East.
Ever.
But I was going to bring up, another rookie, and I'm not comparing him to this rookie wide receiver, but I'm just going to say this: there's a rookie. I'm gonna have trouble saying this.
Try saying that fast 5
times, right? There's a rookie wide receiver who went to a team that already had 2 really good young wide receivers, and they realized, oh, he's special. We're going to make sure he's involved in this offense. And I'm talking obviously about the Cincinnati Bengals. Ja'Marr Chase goes there. And if you would have told me before the season, I would have said, hey, rookie, he's going to get some nice plays, but they got T. Higgins, they got Tyler Boyd, like they got Joe Mixon. They got a lot of mouths to feed, and don't expect, like, he's great. I think we all knew Ja'Marr Chase was going to be great, but we're kind of like, in his first season, don't expect it. But guess what? He's number 1 on that depth chart. He's number 1 for looks. He's number 1 for targets for a reason. In Philadelphia, who's better than Smith?
I don't see any of those guys, to be honest.
So why isn't he the guy getting all those? So I understand him having that frustration. Now, I will also, I've also come to the defense of Jalen Hurts just a few days ago, because people are saying he's trash. And I said, listen, before you start calling a quarterback trash, remember this. That was his 16th start. So that's real. I know he's been in the league now his second year, but really that's his first season of games. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks that had really bad first seasons. And I'm talking Troy Aikman, Peyton Manning. There's a lot of bad first season quarterbacks.
If we go, the quarterbacks who have had bad seasons, if they played today during those bad seasons, they probably would not be around. I mean, Troy Aikman, they went 1-15.
That's
1-15 his rookie season. Peyton Manning threw 29 picks as a rookie. There's no way, if he's throwing 29 interceptions as a rookie today, that he's staying long. The leash on him is going to be very short. So when I think about Jalen Hurts, he just got the job. So how about we ruin a lot? They ruin a lot of young quarterbacks. A lot of young quarterbacks get ruined because we're so in this cycle of now. And I think a lot of that has to do with how much money these guys get paid and how much cap space they eat up. And we're going to get it, and we're going to get it.
Yeah,
we're going to get to that, no doubt.
Yeah, we're going to get to that because there's another quarterback who they're doing him wrong as well that I want to talk about, because it was the team that you liked this season, and I think it's not necessarily his fault that they're underperforming. The other game we got wrong, and again, like I said, both of the ones we got wrong, they were pick'ems. We both thought the Houston Texans could get it done, but they did not.
No, they did not. And
who are the Jets? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they somewhere in between?
Don't get sucked into that, Tone. They are not. No, do not. You know what you're doing, Tone? You're starting to look at that girl. She's not cute at all, Tone, but she's been around so long that you're like, you know what? Maybe you really ain't.
She did her makeup really nice today.
No, Tone. Do not get sucked into that. No, Tone.
Wearing a nice dress.
No, Tone. Do not get sucked into that. This is a young team, and they're a bad team, right? So they're not a bad team in the sense that they just suck all the way around, but do not get sucked into that. They got a rookie quarterback who's still trying to figure it out. They're hot and cold, which they should be because they got a rookie quarterback. Their running game is less than average. They actually have when I say okay, I mean a 5.5 defense. Even though they're at the bottom of the league, I can't believe I'm saying this. Their defense isn't as bad as it looks on paper.
Horrible,
right?
I like when healthy. I like Davis, Crowder, and more. I like the receivers.
It's not as bad as it looks on paper.
Maybe, but, I might be listening to Gary V too much. I don't know if you know Gary Vaynerchuk. He loves his Jets.
That's what's happening. And you know who he is, Tone?
He's very convincing. He's
the dude in your ear. Yo, why don't you go out with this girl, man? Yo, you starting to think that, you know what, she ain't really that bad looking. Tone, relax. Please don't get sucked into the Jets.
I feel like I have to because he's got this dream of buying them one day. And I'm like, maybe he'll give me a job. I'm really nice to the Jets.
So that's what it is. I'm gonna go out with the guy's daughter because he's gonna give me
listen. You know that story about they saw how to get ahead in the corporate world, and I'm gonna butcher the story, but about marrying Bill Gates' daughter.
I have
Have
never
have
heard
you
of
heard
that.
this one? So the
No,
guy
I
goes
haven't.
here. So he calls the World Bank or something and says, "Hey, I want you to make my son the CEO of the World Bank." And and whoever's in charge of that says, "Well, no." And he goes, "Oh, but my son is Bill Gates' son-in-law. Oh, okay, he can have the job." So then he
Oh,
calls. So
okay.
then the dad calls Bill Gates and says, "Hey, I want your daughter to marry my son." And Bill Gates is like, "No." And he goes, "My son's the CEO at World Bank." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And he sets it up, right? So it's like I'm missing a couple of steps in the story,
Right.
but it's basically like before you got anything. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just telling Gary, hey, I'm probably the best man for team president of your new team that you buy. And when he buys it, be like, oh yeah, that guy's the guy.
Don't get sucked in, Tone.
I'll
I'm
hire
telling
you
you.
too. I'll hire you too.
I think I'm
All
good
right.
on the Jets.
So those are the only two we got wrong. But we started to talk about Dallas from the Thursday nighter. Here's the thing about Dallas that I want to bring up, and I think everyone can admit Dak Prescott is a really good quarterback, a great
Yes, he is.
quarterback. Even
Mhm.
here's the problem: when you look at all these great quarterbacks, they can do this occasionally, but how many of them are successful throwing the ball 50 times a game every single week without a running game? None. The Dallas Cowboys are, I believe, 26-4 when Ezekiel Elliott rushes for 100 yards. Now, some people might say Zeke isn't the same Zeke he was. Okay, then get 150 from him and Pollard combined. My point is, if you look at Aaron Rodgers, when is he at his best? When Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon are pounding the rock. When is even Tom Brady, when he gets any kind of running game, he's almost unstoppable. So even the greatest quarterbacks in the league, when they get a running game, they're more successful in terms of winning games. You can't have Dak throwing the ball 47 times and your leading rusher being Pollard for what was it, 25, 30 yards, something like that. Like, why do they go away from what works? Run the ball, give your defense a break. Because even if you had the best defense in the league, we know this. If they're on the field all the time, they're gonna get scored on. They're gonna get tired. Why do they go away from the formula? You know that this formula works. Why are you messing around with Coke? It's delicious. Why are you making new Coke, classic Coke, banana Coke, cherry Coke? Why?
I think the problem that we have I think it's Kellen Moore. Now, what do you mean is Kellen Moore? Kellen Moore used to be a quarterback. All right. And not only did he used to be a quarterback, he wants to show how well Dak can be because that amps up his resume as a future NFL coach. Because that he's actually he's in the market to be an NFL coach. Because there's no other reason why. Like you just said, 26-4 when Zeke runs over 100 yards. I think they undefeated, Tone, when he carries the ball 25 times or more.
I think you're right.
I think they're undefeated. They don't have a loss when he carries the football 25 times or more. So when you talk about a team that not only just had you mentioned a running game, when you talk about a team that has a good running game, and Zeke is not washed. I'm not buying the idea that Zeke
he's a little. Look, I know he's a little banged up right now. I know he is a little banged up, but yes, he's not washed by any stretch.
I'm not buying the fact that he's washed. And we all know that the run sets up the pass. When you're running the football 9 times, 13 times, that's not helping your offense at all. Because what you're essentially telling the defense is, we're not running the football. You can be in cover 2. You could be in cover because we're not going to run the football. You only got 5. You only got 4 guys up front. And that doesn't help your offense at all, especially when you have potentially a Rolls Royce in your backfield in Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. So I'm not saying that I don't understand it. I think the issue here is Kellen Moore. I think he's trying to amp up his resume because he's gonna be in the running for a head coach job in the offseason. And he wants to make Dak look as good as possible. Him being a quarterback also, he's trying to help himself get that.
I get it. Everybody wants to be the quarterback whisperer. They're the most important player on the field. They're the highest paid player on the field. But you know what? You know what works better than showcasing your quarterback is having a balanced offense that wins games.
Man.
And that's, I think, we lose sight of sometimes. And, I think back a couple of weeks ago, you'll remember this because I picked Green Bay, even though I think Devontae Adams and others were out. And Aaron Rodgers had no running backs. And remember what I told you? I said, you're going to see Aaron Jones and a whole lot of AJ Dillon and Randall Cobb's going to score a couple of touchdowns. And everyone's like, wow, how'd you know that? I'm like, because they're not dumb. They know that if you don't have, right? Same thing with Dallas. They were missing Amari Cooper. They were missing CeeDee Lamb. What would you do? I wouldn't throw 50 times. I'd be running the ball.
It's not
right?
rocket science. It's not.
Pollard and Zeke would get 35 carries combined, and I'd run the ball and I'd pick my spots.
Mhm.
That's what you do when you're down a couple of receivers. So that's why, as I watch the game unfold, I'm thinking, what do they do? Like what? And it's not like they should. Okay, they're playing the Raiders. They're playing the Raiders. The Raiders have no business beating the Cowboys at this stage in their season.
Let's just say this, Tone. In the last 5 games that the Cowboys have played, one team, and I believe it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I may be wrong here, but it's one team in the last 5 games that they played had a top 20 or higher rush defense. Everybody else was below 20. So that right there alone should tell me this team has one of the worst rush defenses in the league. Very simple. We're going to shove the ball down your throat, and you ain't going to do a damn thing about it. I don't understand why that wouldn't be the game plan.
There's listen, other than maybe the Bucs, there's very few teams that I would say, hey, we're going to need to throw the ball 40, 50 times on to beat them, because the Bucs can still stop the run, right? They're number 1 against the run defense.
Right.
And listen, they let up in the last couple of seasons very few, if 1 or 2, maybe 100-yard rushers. So other than that one team, I'm running the ball to set up everything else. So I'm just
let me ask you this question, Tom. Why wasn't it a problem? Because when I look at Zeke as a ball carrier, why wasn't this a problem 25 years ago, 30 years ago when they had Emmitt Smith? Michael Irvin didn't seem to have a problem with it. Alvin Harper didn't seem to have a problem with it. Troy Aikman didn't seem to have a problem with it. We were running the football. Why is it a problem now? Why is Zeke Elliott not carrying the ball 25 times a game?
Your point might be correct. Is we're trying to make the quarter. I'm gonna hurt some Seahawks fans right now when I say this. Why is it Marshawn Lynch running that ball into the end zone? There's this fascination, this love affair with trying to get the quarterback to be that hero, that person. And again, I'm old school. I want to win. I don't care. I don't care if my fullback has to rush for 100 yards. I don't care if that means I win games. I don't care. Like I think back to, I think it was a 2011, the Miracle Broncos. I think back to my Jay Cutler Bears where they'd throw 5 times for, 75 yards. I don't care. They won. And that's more important.
Just so you know, Jimmy Garoppolo threw 8 passes in the NFC Championship game against Green Bay. He threw 8 passes.
Guess where
you think I care about that? I don't care. I don't care.
And where did he go?
To the bowl game.
Oh yeah, he went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, okay.
Went to the bowl game.
That matters, right? Does it still matter? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. All right.
Yes, it does.
So we're speaking about running backs. So there's a lot of talk, a lot of articles now. Listen, we've had a ton of injuries. Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey being the latest one, who's now, I believe, out for the season again.
For the second
and the question is, should teams, because they seem to find these diamonds in the rough, right? James Robinson, undrafted. You got these later round picks doing big, like 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round running backs doing big things. Should teams stop paying their running backs big money?
Well, the shelf life for a running back in the NFL is 3.5 years. That's the shelf life.
A little less.
Yeah.
The average, I just read it only because I just read it. The average NFL player is 3.3 years is their average thing, and I think running backs are the lowest at 2.8 or 2.7. Okay, so yeah, it's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I thought it was 3.5 years. So 2.5 years we're talking about. All right. Yeah. So with that being said, every year, if you draft every year in your draft, you should be drafting a running back every year. Not in the first round. Absolutely not. Because last I checked, Jonathan Taylor was not drafted high. All right. You got John, and I don't know what the shelf life is for. I can't tell you what the shelf life is for offensive linemen, but I do know what the shelf life is for running backs. And you're probably going to get, at best, with a guy like Jonathan Taylor, you might get 5 years out of him, especially the way the game is today. So if you're drafting a quarterback every year, if you're drafting a running back every year, you're going to have to just recycle these guys. Prime example would be with the Cowboys. Paying Zeke, and as much as I like Zeke, do you think that they got everything that they could out of Zeke?
Not what they paid for.
Well, that's my point right there, Tom. Because if you feel like you got everything that you're going to get out of him, let's now recycle Zeke. We're not paying him. Now we're going with Tony Pollard. Let's see how many years we could get out of Tony Pollard. Now, I don't know if that's great business, to be quite honest with you, but I can tell you what it will do. It'll generate some wins.
It's not good. It's not good, PR, but it is good business, right? And from a business perspective, here, let's look at Pittsburgh. Do you think they did the right thing by not paying Le'Veon Bell?
Yes.
Right. And then what did they do? James Conner comes in, seemed just fine. Okay, there was maybe a down year, but now Najee Harris is there.
Yep.
Their running back situation, I think, is in better shape. Not in better shape. Le'Veon Bell had a phenomenal year that year, but that he wanted to get paid. But my point is this: them walking away. When have you seen a running back get to that 4 or 5 year point that wanted to get paid, that went and left to another team, got paid, and performed? It doesn't happen.
Not recently. I haven't.
But how many times have you seen him either re-sign with his current team or re-sign a big contract somewhere else, and then you never hear from them again as a top running back?
More than often, yes.
And listen, it's a thankless job. The quarterback gets all the love. The running back has to run through a tank on every play. They've got to block. Now they've got to get out and receive. Listen, I get it. It's a thankless job, but from a business perspective, it's what you got to do. I look at the Chicago Bears and I think, hey, you know what? They have David Montgomery, but they were smart. They drafted Khalil Herbert, and guess what? It's already paying off.
Well, again, Tom, when when you have a shelf life that's not that long, I got to look toward the future. So I know that at best, I'm gonna have this guy at an elite level. Like Derrick Henry is an anomaly. All right. So
there's always the exception to the rule, but let's talk about the rule.
Right. Derrick Henry is an anomaly. I think the days of the workhorse back, Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, we're never going to see that guy again. The guy who's going to run for you for 10 years, 12 years, and he's going to carry the football 20, 25 times a game. That guy is gone. So I know that I'm only going to get this guy, especially at an elite level. If I can get 3 or 4 years out of this guy, why am I paying him 90? Why am I paying him 80, 90 million dollars over 5 years? I'm not going to have him that long. Yeah. Why wouldn't I just get everything that I can get out of him and potentially just let him walk and draft a running back every year that he's there to push him? So when he does break down, because the numbers tell me he's going to break down in the very near future, and then I'll integrate this guy into our offense and just keep the train rolling.
Now, on that, listen, I also get it from a players' union perspective. I'd be trying to make some accommodations, say, hey, we know that that's the case, right? Other players, it takes them a longer, quarterbacks, linemen, whatever, to kind of get it, and then they do have longer careers. But I think you should look at it and find ways to make sure that these running backs, because I don't want to say never pay them, but maybe there's ways to front load their contracts, knowing that by year 3, year 4, they're probably not going to get another big money contract because people are now afraid to do that. And again, like you said, like if you know that the shelf life is, let's say 5 years for a great quarterback to be running backs to be 5 years. Great. And year 2, draft his replacement.
Right.
Year 3, draft his replacement, whatever it is. So there's always that overlap, but maybe we need to find ways to or if I'm a running back, front load my contract because I need to make my lifetime of money in my first 3-4 seasons.
Well, they're doing that now, Tom, because that's why you have guys holding out for more guaranteed money. Right. That's exactly why you have guys holding out for more guaranteed money. Because again, at any point, and you know this as well as I do, NFL contracts are very different than NBA contracts or Major League Baseball contracts. Because what happens at any point in the NFL, they can take your contract and rip it right up. So I'm trying to get as much money as I possibly can right up front. I can appreciate that idea from the running back because, again, my shelf life isn't. My shelf life is very short.
So we were just supposed to talk about running backs, but I do want to kind of transition quickly because we were talking earlier and you said they should probably stop paying quarterbacks big money too. I know their shelf life is a lot longer. Now, even don't look at Tom Brady. He's an exception. But even if you look at most other quarterbacks, right, you're going to get, he's going to be your starter for 10 years, right? If you have a true starting quarterback, you got him at least for a decade. The problem is it always seems to be that second contract, that big one, right? We saw it in Seattle. Russell Wilson came off his rookie contract. They signed him to a big deal, max deal. Well, now they can't pay anybody else. Now he's running for his life because there's no offensive line. The defense, they couldn't pay those. Now, granted, I get it. The defensive guys were getting older anyways, but they couldn't pay them or pay to bring in replacements because so much money. Do teams do a bad job of figuring out, hey, I need to allot this much money for a quarterback, this much money for an offensive line, this much money for skill position, this much money for defense, and they just say, hey, I got an elite quarterback. I'm just going to pay him all that he needs, and then figure it out? Because I guarantee you, Kansas City is going to have a problem.
Huge problem.
Right? Because people forget the Patrick Mahomes thing isn't really kicking in yet. Once it kicks in, there's gonna be some tough decisions because you can't pay him, what is it, $500 million plus Kelsey plus Hill plus they'll need a running back plus they're gonna need defense.
Well, when I think
there's examples of this all over the place, right? And it's one of the reasons, again, I use Brady as the example. It's one of the reasons the Patriots were so successful. You had the greatest coach of all time with the greatest quarterback of all time, taking less money so that they could pay other people to have a defense, and never really gave them skilled positions, really, other than maybe Moss that year. But so what are your thoughts on the QB side?
When I think about quarterbacks, I think about it like a copycat league. Well, how do we win? We win with this guy running the football. We win with a great wideout, or we win with a great defense. And teams see that, and they automatically try to emulate that. All right. So the same idea happens when you get a really good quarterback. A team might he might not be great, Tone, but he's better than what you had in the past. All right. He's better than what you had in the past. And you see this other team. This is the going rate on great quarterbacks. And what these teams do is they confuse what a great quarterback is with an average quarterback, or maybe even an above average quarterback. I was never really a big Dak Prescott fan. I've always thought that he was above average. But the problem that we have is he's the best quarterback that they've had in a long time, in a really long time. And the going rate on a guy like that was, I don't know, I guess $35 million. So it was obvious with Jerry Jones, he didn't want to pay. He loved that. He just didn't love him for $40 million.
Right.
But he knew that in order for us to move forward, I got to pay this guy. Now, if I'm paying my quarterback, that means exactly what you just said. The one team that comes to mind is Seattle. That's the one team that comes to mind, because if I pay this guy, then that means that there's other positions that are going to suffer. And then what it's going to look like is it's going to look like our offensive line not only sucks, we suck because we're not drafting well. No, it's not that we're not drafting well. We actually have really good players. We're just losing them in free agency because we can't pay them because we paid you. That's the problem. That's absolutely the problem. So going forward, I would treat it like treating running backs. So I'm thinking the game has gotten softer, Tone. I won't fight that. The game has gotten softer, and what it's done is it's helped prolong the quarterback. It's helped progress his career. So with that being said, instead of injury, like with the running back, I know I'm possibly going to lose this quarterback I got to pay him in 3 years or in 2 years. So maybe I should start looking for his replacement. The Pittsburgh Steelers are having that problem right now because they don't have a replacement for Ben Roethlisberger, and they never really went out and found one. So if I got a quarterback that's really good, I'm probably not going to be able to pay him. So I'm thinking in 3 years, I should draft a quarterback now and start to basically school him and get him involved. Everybody is so up in arms about Jordan Love being on the crew. Well, I'll tell you what, that wasn't a bad idea from Green Bay because they could possibly lose Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. No, and listen, he might not be the right guy, but at least they were proactive in bringing someone. Because don't forget, it's not like this isn't unheard of in Green Bay. They brought Brett Favre over from Atlanta. He turned out to be really well. And guess what they did? Well, then they drafted Aaron Rodgers. Oh, guess what? He ended up being pretty good.
Turned out being pretty good. Yes,
now Jordan Love might not be that guy. Great, then get somebody else. And it's interesting because I'm gonna listen. This is free advice for all NFL owners and executives. You can call me direct if you want more. But do you know what wins Super Bowls?
What wins Super Bowls? There's a number of different things that win Super Bowls, Tony.
Well, for me, this is what I've noticed in forever. What wins Super Bowls, people are going to, at first, they're going to say, yeah, I'm crazy, but hopefully they listen and then they realize it's not elite quarterbacks. What wins Super Bowls is good defenses or great defenses and efficient offenses. It might be a superstar quarterback there, but let's look at, we've been spoiled because in the last 20 years, Tom Brady's gone to 10. So we think, oh, you have to have an elite superstar quarterback. No, look at what Tom Brady did. Yes, he has all the records and all that. I'm not saying he's not a great quarterback, but if you were to look, if you were to blind taste test Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady or somebody else, you would easily say, well, no, Aaron Rodgers has all the skills, all the tools. He's a better quarterback. Why does Tom Brady win? Well, because Bill Belichick puts together a solid defense, and he is so efficient as a quarterback, which is why he ends up having all the records 20 years later, right? He's so efficient as quarterback. Well, look at the teams that have beat the Patriots. The Eagles had a great defense and an average quarterback, but who played efficiently. The Giants had twice great defense and a quarterback who did. Is Eli Manning? Forget his name. If his name was Joe Smith, okay, forget that he's a Manning. Would you say he's a superstar quarterback?
I think he threw for 55 yards in the bowl game. He threw for 200.
Look, he had good. Don't get me wrong. He had good Super Bowls, but I mean, what did he do? They went on runs with an efficient quarterback and a strong defense. Absolutely. That recipe has never changed. It's never changed. I can give you a million examples. Even when Brady won, the defense stepped up. Peyton Manning. People are saying, well, Peyton Manning never had a defense. Really? Look at the defense he had. What did they do? They said, hey, we're not going to really stop the run, but our offense is so strong. The way we're going to win is get out early. And then you had, remember, two really good pass rushers who just pinned their ears back and went. And then it was done. Once they had the lead and the other team had to throw, they looked like a pretty good defense then, right? Kansas City. Well, they don't have a good defense. But you know what? They were pretty situational because on games where they were down, 30-7, oh, wow, Patrick Mahomes, he's so incredible. He came back from 28 down. You know what else was incredible? That the defense kept them at the same score that they were at so he could do that. Right. No one ever talks, and those are important things. So that's
I get because I'm thinking about my Niners. We're up 10 with 6 minutes in the bowl game. We should have had these dudes beat, and we got shut down. Kansas City didn't have a great defense. They did situational. They did enough at the end, though.
Did enough at the end. And that's always the recipe. Like when I call Brady the GOAT, which listen, I think he is. The naysayers well, he always had a top 5, top 10 defense those years that he won. Yeah, because that's what you need to win.
Yeah,
right?
You do.
No one has ever won a Super Bowl in the last 20 years without, I think it was a top 5 or top 10 scoring defense. So guess what? Get one.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue that. I cannot argue that, and I will not argue that. What I will say is, you know who your quarterback is, and you know that the clock is ticking. I'm not even on injury. The clock is ticking on having to pay this guy. So at some point, you're either going to pay him or you're going to move on from him. Prime example would be what they're doing in Cleveland right now, Tone. Why haven't they paid your favorite quarterback?
Because he's trash.
There's a reason why they haven't paid him. Now he's probably the best option that they've had over the last 25 years of all the quarterbacks that they've had. He's probably the best option that they've had, but there's a reason why they haven't paid him. The reason why they haven't paid him is because number one, that defense is going to suffer if they pay him. That's number one.
He's just Johnny Manziel with better players around him. Anyways, all right. So let's go to another Let's go to another quarterback. And I use this quarterback as an example a lot. And the reason I use it as an example a lot, I get into a lot of debates, and people keep telling me, "Oh, this guy's more versatile." And Scottie Pippen said he's the GOAT. Scottie Pippen called himself the GOAT because he could do everything. He said Tom Brady's not the GOAT. Tom Brady doesn't play defense. Tom Brady doesn't run the ball. And so I immediately went, well, Taysom Hill does everything. He plays QB, running back, fullback, wide receiver. He's on kick returns, punt returns. He returns kicks. I believe he's actually the guy that paints the lines in the stadium for the Saints.
I'm pretty sure I saw him doing that. I'm certain I saw him doing that. I'm sure.
There's nothing. Sure. He's mixed. He does everything. So I guess he's the GOAT because he's the most versatile player we've ever seen in our lives. He's what they should have done with Tim Tebow. If I could go back a few years, they should have used Tebow the way that the Saints use Hill. Well, now Jameis Winston is hurt. Trevor Siemian is hurt. And the guy who's been getting paid, I think he just got another raise, like $95 million. Taysom Hill's going to get a start this week, and it's going to lead us into obviously making our picks this week. What do you expect from Taysom Hill? Because last time they didn't really throw the ball a lot. Michael Thomas wasn't happy, but they had the running game was there, but Alvin Kamara is iffy this week too. Are you expecting him to come out and is he going to surprise us? Is he going to come out and throw the ball?
I don't think so. I really don't. When I look at that offense, I look at that offense and I look at what they have on the edge. Michael Thomas has been out the whole season, and I think Alvin Kamara. I don't know if he's going to be a scratch this weekend, but
they say he's iffy, so I guess game time decision.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be a scratch this weekend, but I think that they're going to be a very run-heavy team. There's a reason why he didn't win the job. All right, the reason why he didn't win the job because Sean Payton doesn't think he gives them their best opportunity to win. And why is that? One of the main reasons why is because he doesn't throw the ball that much. Now, I can appreciate Taysom Hill as a football player, right? Because when I see him, I think about the guy. I think about him and I look at Tim Tebow and I say, that's who Tim Tebow should have been. And I think that everybody was trying to make Tim Tebow into a drop back pocket passer instead of him just being a football player. And he got sucked into that as well. Taysom Hill hasn't been sucked into that. Taysom Hill has recognized that I'm a football player who can play quarterback.
Right.
And with that being said, I think he helps New Orleans. But as a quarterback, there's a reason why they brought Trevor Siemian in because he's a better facilitator, he's a better passer, and I think that's where he struggles. Absolutely,
yeah.
I think that's
well, everybody wants their quarterback to throw the ball downfield, and that's just not their strength.
Not him particularly.
So let's get to it. So I'm going to first give you kind of what the playoff picture looks like today, and then we'll get into our week 13 picks. So if we look at the AFC, I can't believe I can't believe I was right about this one. Baltimore, who leads the AFC North at 8-3, also leads.
You are right about them.
Also leads the AFC at 8-3.
Yes,
the New England Patriots, who
1 game out,
who are 8-4. Then you got Tennessee at 8-4, who now I think we got a little, to use your term, a little fool's gold those first couple of weeks that Derrick Henry was out and their defense overachieved. I think we start to see them fall back a little bit. Kansas City, all of a sudden back in the mix at 7-4. Then you got your Bengals. You picked them 100% from I think the summer you were saying watch out for the Bengals. So I'll give you credit on that one. They're at 7-4. Buffalo at 7-4. Chargers are the last playoff team right now. They hold the last spot at 6-5. But they are tied with the Raiders at 6-5, Denver at 6-5, the Colts at 6-6, Pittsburgh's not far behind at 5-5, Cleveland at 6-6, and Miami. They're still in the hunt. Miami at 5-7. So you got 13 teams for 7 spots, and then you've got the Jets, Houston, and Jacksonville. Okay, so just keep that in mind when we make our picks where everybody stands. Arizona, good for them. When Kyler Murray's going to be missing some time, this guy missing some time, DeAndre Hopkins, let's just keep rolling along. 9-2. Green Bay right on their heels at 9-3. Tampa Bay at 8-3. Dallas, which we just talked about at 7-4, had a good chance if they would have won that game on Thursday. But the Rams at 7-4, who do not win November for the Rams.
0.
Keep that in mind. Your 49ers, who 4 weeks ago, people called us crazy because we both said the 49ers, they can go on a run and make the playoffs. And everyone's like, no way. I think they had 3 wins at that point. They're now at 6-5. Washington, just Tyler Hickey, just finding ways.
He's the quarterback. He's that quarterback who he looks like he can be good enough to get us there. I don't know if he can get us over the hump, but he looks like he's good enough to get us there.
So now Washington, the football team, holds the last playoff spot. But then again, you got Minnesota, Atlanta. Atlanta?
Yeah.
Atlanta, New Orleans all tied at 5-6. And then right behind them is Philadelphia and Carolina, at 5-7. The Giants and Bears, I can't believe I'm going to say this, at 4-7, still they're only one game back.
Can you believe that?
Of making a wild card. So there's hope. And my I'm not going to go on a Bears rant, but I'm going to go on a little bit of a Bears rant. That game against the Steelers, right? Let's be honest, right? I always say the refs kind of stole one from us, but that was a game they should have won. They had Baltimore without Lamar Jackson. That's a game they should have won. Like, they were that close from being 6-5 and right in the midst of things. So anyways, and then Seattle and Detroit, obviously, let's say they're out of the hump. So keep that in mind as we go through this week's slate of games. So we start this week.
I think this might be and I'm going on the record. I think this might be Russell Wilson last year in Seattle.
I'm not surprised last year wasn't. I really thought this offseason when he came out publicly, which is not his way, that he was really I honestly, I'm not just saying this because of the helmet behind me. I really thought when he had Chicago on his list, right? This was before the draft, mind you. I really thought they would have done whatever they needed to do to get him there, because he's the type of quarterback that could kind of work in a Chicago kind of climate, right? He throws a good ball. He runs the ball. He's kind of low center of gravity.
They would love him in Chicago.
He's the kind of quarterback that would make sense there. So the first game Thursday, Cowboys and Saints.
I want to pick the Cowboys. I really do.
But
I'm going. You know what, Tone? I'm not going to waste time. I'm going with the Cowboys.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
I'm not going to lie. I keep thinking, I feel like Taysom Hill's going to do something, but with Kamara, I think Kamara's out. If Kamara was 100% in, I probably would have taken the chance and said New Orleans, but I think this is a get right game. I think Mike McCarthy, who terrible hire, might be listening and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to run the ball this week. And so
I am going to say this though, Tone. If they lose to the Saints in the condition that the Saints are in, I'm out.
I'm done with them. Yeah, I'm out. I'm out. Yeah, I'll give them a pass with the Raiders, right? The Raiders were a good team. Their stuff that they're dealing with is off the field, so I'll give them a pass there. But yes,
they lose to these dudes. Yeah, I'm out.
I'm with you. Sadly, a little tear. The Cardinals are going up against the Bears, and it looks like everyone's going to be back in the lineup.
Yeah.
So I know you're going with the Bears, right?
Yeah, I think that they handle Chicago. Getting Kyler Murray back in the lineup. I keep hearing people tell me that AJ Green is washed. I'm thinking, no, he is not.
No, he's not.
AJ Green is not washed. No, he is not. Now I know that Hop has been hurt. Hop has been beat up, but I like that offense, man, and that defense. They get to the quarterback. I think they handle Chicago this weekend. Absolutely.
I'm going to refrain from saying my pick because I'm not allowed to pick against my Bears. So I'm going to, who I'm picking though when I say what I just said. However, the Bears are banged up. The Bears are they are just hurting everywhere. And I said this. They almost lost that game to Detroit, which would have got them. That Matt Nagy better have gotten him fired, but they pulled it off in the end. So, all right. So the next one, this is going to be a tough one for you to pick because you're high on both of these teams. Chargers, Bengals.
Chargers and the Bengals. The Chargers have been going the other way. And I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. Mike Williams, he has to have a bounce back week. Last week, 8 targets, 4 catches, 37 yards. That is not going to get it done. Keenan Allen and him and Justin Herbert have not been on the same page. That defense with Los Angeles has been less than stellar.
And I don't think they're using Eckler as well as they should.
Nearly as much as they should. And Cincinnati is going this way. I mean, the job that they did on Pittsburgh, I think that they handle. I was about to say San Diego. I think they handle Los Angeles this weekend. I do.
I'm so far we've all picked all three the same because I'm with you on the Bengals this week, and I think you're okay calling them San Diego. I still think they should go back. Although I guess that stadium now, SoFi, probably that or not so. Yeah, is they playing us? No, they're playing at SoFi, right? Yeah, SoFi. I think let's leave that for the Rams. Leave that for the Rams. Let's move the Clippers, those paper clips, and the Chargers. And make a nice stadium down in San Diego. It's beautiful down there. It's beautiful down there.
Tony, I've never been a fan of team shit. Why do the Jets not have their own stadium? I don't understand that. Why do the Clippers used to play in the
Well,
sports
they did.
arena.
I think they are. I think the Clippers are building
Right.
are
Why do
building
you
one
not
now.
have your own building? Why are you living here? You make plenty of money. You got a good job. Why are you living here? There's no reason for you to live here.
Just as a sidebar, what's the best football team in New York?
It's the Giants.
Wrong.
Actually, no. I'm sorry. It's the Buffalo Bills.
Because they're the only football team in New York.
I apologize. You said it was the best. There's a difference between the only football team. The only football team in New York is the Buffalo Bills. That's correct.
I think people forget that because
Yes.
we were talking about football expansion. They're like, oh, maybe New York should get a team and stop calling the two that play out of Jersey
Right.
as New York teams.
Right.
All right, so let's back to our picks. The Bucks and the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just writing down Bucks really quick while I listen for your pick.
Right. So I've seen what Matty Ice has been doing. I was so high on him, and my man Kyle Pitts, I had him as offensive rookie of the year, but I think Cordell Patterson is coming back this week. I think
he was back last week. That's why they won. That's why they won. You know that he's listed. You know he's listed as like the third string safety too.
Unbelievable.
He does everything. He does everything too.
Everything for that group. I think they're gonna give Tampa a run for their money, but in the end, I think Tampa pulls it out.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, I wasn't high on keeping Matt Ryan. I've told you this before. I think they should have traded him for Deshaun Watson. Was my preferred thing. But I thought with Ridley, Pitts, and what Cordell Patterson could do for them, I thought the offense would be good. But then you lose Patterson for a few weeks. Obviously, Ridley is out now, so that obviously plays a role. When Matt Ryan has nobody to throw to, no one to run the ball, right? They look really bad. But even just getting Patterson back last week, they look better. All right, Vikings and Lions. Do the Lions get their first win?
No, they don't. Sorry. I think that Minnesota bounces back this week. Minnesota is actually in a really good groove with that team. I think Kirk Cousins bounces back from last week against the 49ers, and I think that they get back on track. I think that they handle Detroit. Detroit has been right there, and this is where they're going to be for the rest of the season. They're going to be right there. And
so let me start with Minnesota, because we talked about quarterbacks getting big money. Heck, Kirk Cousins got big money and 100% guaranteed contract, which kind of set a new bar at that point. And as bad as Kirk Cousins is in prime time, that's how good he is against bad teams. So no doubt that Minnesota's going to win. But Detroit has, it's interesting. The year that Detroit, the first time they went 0-16, there was only 4 games that they were one possession games. So there was only 4 games that they were in.
So the other 12, they got smoked.
In Cleveland, the year that they went 0-16, 7 games. They were one possession games and overtime games.
Right.
So they were in half of their games that they could have won. Right. Granted, the roster was horrible, so no surprise that they didn't. But just imagine they had one playmaker; they could have been in better shape.
Yeah.
Already this season, Detroit has lost 7 one-possession games.
Think about that.
So they still have 5 games to go, and so they're going to probably be in. Unless they just completely give out on Dan Campbell, who I don't like as a coach, but at the same time, when you have a bad team that's 0 and whatever, and they're at least in these games, losing
every
by 3,
game.
4, 5 points.
Every game, they're in it.
I'll give them some credit there and say, they might not be they might get one near the end of the season. They might catch a team sleeping. I just don't think it's this week because Minnesota's got too much to play for. The Giants and the Dolphins.
The Dolphins have been in ascension, Tone. They've been doing really well lately, and I like their chances this week. The Giants scored 13 points last weekend against that Philadelphia team, and Tua looks like he's getting better. I think I'm going to take Miami this weekend. Yeah,
I'm actually with you, and I was the biggest Tua. Tua was like number 2 on my hit list next to Baker Mayfield.
I hated him, Tom.
You know what? He's starting to grow on me.
All right,
he's starting to grow on me. Okay. I still don't love him, but I'll let him in the house. Let him in the house. He can come to the barbecue. He can come to the barbecue. I might not give him the good ribs, but he can come to the barbecue.
He's becoming tolerable now.
Yeah. Listen. I want Miami to be good. Listen. I might just move to Miami. I'm going to help him. That's a possibility, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is Philadelphia, the Eagles, and the Jets.
The Eagles and the Jets.
The Jets surprised us last week against Houston. Philadelphia surprised us the wrong way last week against the Giants.
Right.
Now there's some dissension in the ranks. Did the Jets get another back-to-back wins?
Well,
Philly continue to struggle.
Oh man! And when I'm looking at this team, it wouldn't surprise me, yo. I see what the Jets have been doing, and I'm not getting sucked into the New York Jets, Tone. I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. I'm not getting sucked into the New York Jets. But this is a pick'em game because I see what Philadelphia did last weekend, and I'm having a very hard time thinking that they're going to be that bad 2 weeks in a row. And I think that they handle the Jets this week.
So you're going Philly, and I've just so you know, because we have all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 previous games, we all picked the same. So I'm gonna, because it's a pick'em game and you picked Philly, I'm going Jets, Jets. Me and Gary V, and the Jets. We're going 2 in a row.
Tone's on the hook.
And look, if they get to 4 wins and they get a couple of losses, they're in the playoff conversation. I was putting that out there. That's why I wanted to run through where the playoff teams were. They're not that far behind with enough 5 weeks to go, 2 games back. Yeah, Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance. All right, then we got the Colts. This is the game, maybe that they get back. We're really going to see what they are. So the Colts and the Texans.
I like which way the Colts are going, Tone. I saw what they did last week against Tampa. They were in that game the entire game. That defense with Leonard, I mean, it's going to be hard to stop Tampa, but I think they get right back on track this week, and I think they get right back in the middle of it, and I think that they handle the Texans this weekend. They're not going to get – that was a trap game. That was a trap game a couple of weeks ago with Houston. I don't think that Indianapolis gets sucked into that. I don't.
I think you picked Indy to beat Tampa Bay. And I had Tampa Bay, but I'm not falling for the Texans either. So no.
Nope.
I'm with Indy. I'm with you on that one. Washington and the surprising now Raiders after their win against the Cowboys on Thursday night. They got a nice long rest. They're back in Las Vegas. Think Washington can keep it rolling, or do the Raiders?
Something about what's going on in Las Vegas just suggests that the Raiders got a real good shot in that division. They're hot and cold, but then when they're hot, they look really good. And I mean, they had a big win against the Cowboys. They're rested. I can appreciate what Washington did the week before. So, but I think the Raiders handled them coming in. I think the Raiders handled them coming into Las Vegas.
I'm a spiteful man, and I needed 4 more points from Tyler Heineke to win my fantasy game last week against my cousin, and he didn't give it to me. 6 more than what he did give to me. So just for that reason alone, I'm with you. I'm on the Raiders.
My man Tone right here is very petty. He is. He's very. I can't call him Petty Tone, but he's very petty, and he holds
like Tom Petty. You call me like Tone Petty.
Yeah, he's very petty.
He really upset. He was this close. I was like, come on, it's Seattle. Their defense is playing horrible. Patrick Mahomes in that league is my quarterback, and I'm like, he's on a bye. Come on, Heineke, give me something. Jags, Rams. The Rams.
I'm taking the Rams. I'm taking the Rams.
So it's not going to be no win December.
Nah, I think I'm taking the Rams. I think they finally get back on track this week. I don't think that they lose to Jacksonville. No, I don't.
I'll tell you this. I'm with you. I'm going to go with the Rams. But much like the Cowboys, if the Rams lose to the Jags or the Cowboys lose to the Saints, I'm out. I'm out. And you remember, or you may not remember, but I'll put it out there because I was wrong, but maybe not. At the beginning, when we did our preseason picks, if you remember, I had the Rams not making the playoffs.
You did say that, Tom. I remember that because of the division. You was big on Seattle.
I was big on Seattle, big on Arizona, and I was big on San Francisco. And I said because of those guys. Now Seattle ended up being the team that what I thought the Rams were going to do, right? But there's still a chance. Like I still think they make it, but they're not that team we thought they were. So if they lose to the Jags, I'm out on the Rams. Ravens and Steelers. Division games are always tough.
No, Tony, they didn't look. They looked trash last week. four turnovers from Lamar Jackson. He was terrible. Now, am I going to get that same performance out of him? I hope not. Now, that's saying the same thing about Pittsburgh. They got smoked last week by Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati handled them on every side of the football in every aspect of the game. They handled Pittsburgh. Now, this is a game that I think is going to decide whether either Pittsburgh is going to the playoffs or Baltimore is going to be hosting a playoff game. That's what this game is going to decide, I think. And I think that Pittsburgh comes out this week, and I think that they got a really good shot against Baltimore. I'm going with Pittsburgh.
All right. I'm gonna go with Baltimore. I'm gonna stick with. Hey, listen, I picked them to win the AFC North, so I need them to win some games. So I'm gonna stick with stick with that. I'm not gonna jump ship. I'm gonna stay on that boat. But I'll say this about Pittsburgh: I really like Najee Harris. I think he's my. I know that someone else is gonna win it, but I have him as my rookie of the year. Is Najee Harris. That being said, if it wasn't for Baker Mayfield, Ben Roethlisberger would be the worst quarterback in the NFL, and they're going to have some troubles in Pittsburgh because we talked about it before. They don't have a replacement for him. Mason Rudolph is not that guy.
That's what I was asking you.
And they're in trouble. That's
what I was asking you that if after week 2, because we saw who Roethlisberger was after week 2. Oh, yeah. If he would came in on Monday and said, I'm announcing my retirement effective immediately, how would that have gone over? I don't think a lot of people would have been upset about it.
I think we all would have shook his hand and celebrated the good things that he did.
Thanks, brother.
Even though we've forgotten about the bad things that he's done off the field, that is. So, your team. All right. I think this should be this is why we thought the 49ers had a chance at the playoffs, because their schedule looks so good. Now they get Seattle, who didn't look good against Washington. There was some moments like I don't know what's going on with Wilson and DK Metcalf. I get it. He needs protection so that Metcalf can have time to get open so he can throw him the ball. But I think Metcalf's the kind of guy that you could probably throw it to him in a little bit of coverage. But 49ers, Seattle, it's in Seattle. San Francisco, road favorites.
I think we handled them this weekend. Absolutely, man. I like what we're doing. I like what we're doing defensively. I like our run game, right? Elijah Stewart is looking great. Hopefully Debo will be ready this weekend. And I think we handle Seattle. Absolutely. And we keep this train rolling. No doubt.
The Debo injury is the one that worries me. If he's out, then Seattle has a legit shot because, they got Adrian Peterson.
Right.
So he's their new Marshawn Lynch. I guess he didn't replace Derrick Henry very well in Tennessee. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm with the 49ers. When we ran through this a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, they're going to make a run for the playoffs, this was one of the games I gave them as a win. I'm going to stick with them as a win. Broncos and Chiefs. I love these divisional games.
I think the Chiefs are rolling right now. I was wrong 4 weeks ago when I said, Tone, I'm not sure that the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. I don't like what
That's not what you said. That's not what you said. I said the Chiefs were going to win the AFC West, and you said you said the Chiefs will not make the playoffs.
I didn't say I didn't think. That's a fact.
I have the tape.
I think that they're out. I was actually sugarcoating it. So that's what I was really doing. I was sugarcoating it. What I really said was, I don't have the Chiefs making the playoffs, so I think they out.
That's exactly what you said. I was like, I'll go get the tape. I'm glad you admitted to it. Okay, you admitted to it.
I absolutely said that. So wow, how the tide has turned, and those boys look like they rolling right now. So, and I like Denver. You know how I feel about Denver. I can't talk too much about it because I don't want to get myself in trouble. Because, as you know,
yeah. But
with that being said, I think the Chiefs handled them this weekend. I like what the Chiefs are doing. I think they rolling, man. I do.
I'm obviously with you because I have the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs and the Patriots in the NFC Championship game. So I'm going to roll with my Chiefs. And speaking of the Patriots, this is the game. This is the game that worries me because Buffalo hasn't looked great. Every time New England goes into Buffalo, even with Tom Brady, it's always a tough game. Even when the Bills weren't very good, it was a tough game most times. Of course, there's occasional, but so the Patriots and the Bills on Monday night.
This the same game, the same thing we just got finished talking about, Tone. Like what we talked about with
the Rams and the Cowboys.
The Rams and the Cowboys. They lose to New England. I'm out on Buffalo.
Really?
I'm out. If they lose to them, I'm out.
Then I think you're going to be out because I'm picking New England.
Mhm.
Are you picking New England or Buffalo?
I'm going with New England too.
You're going with New England too?
And if they lose to them, I'm out.
I'm not going to say I'm out on the Bills if they lose to New England because I think New England's the better team right now. They're playing better football. So if they, those other teams are playing bad teams. So I think if they lose to a bad team, I'm out. I'll still they're going to be a wild card team. I'll still give them a chance. I'm not.
I can't believe it. What? I can't believe you. You had your boys in the AFC Championship game going to the bowl, representing the AFC in the bowl game this year. Now all of a sudden, well, I don't know. Tone, get off that fence. I can't believe you.
I live an hour away from Buffalo.
What?
Bills Mafia scares me. I'm not picking against the Bills. Love the Bills Mafia. Go Buffalo. Tonawanda, Lackawanda, love it all. I love it all. I go there a lot. I gotta be careful what I say. All right, so that's it for this week's picks. We picked a lot. We only picked three games different. We Jets and Philly, Baltimore. Actually, two Jets and Philly, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. So we're gonna see between those two games. We'll decide.
Yes,
who takes the lead. So that's it for Fluid and Chill NFL edition. The NBA edition is out. You can find it on Chilltown Hoops. You can find it on Sports Fluent on YouTube. This afternoon, it will be available if you don't like watching our beautiful faces and want to just listen. It'll be available this afternoon under the Sports Fluent podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, anywhere you listen to your podcast. Then don't forget to check us out. Obviously, this is NFL edition, which you'll see on Friday. Same thing. You'll see that on both of those two channels on YouTube, and then the podcast the following day. And then don't forget to get your questions. I'm going to say this every week until they listen. Don't forget to get your questions in early, Monday, 8 p.m. live on TikTok, because we only have an hour and we want to get to as many as we can. Until next week.
Take it light. Take it.